Macau Roadsport Challenge is next here at Macau, and we will have very soon a 30-minute qualifying session. We are on qualifying day 2 of the 71st Macau Grand Prix, and yesterday for free practice day it was wet. Today for qualifying day it's wet again. It's just got a little bit more damp around the circuit, but Lei Kit Meng, who we're looking at now, can afford to go into this qualifying session in similar conditions to what they enjoyed yesterday around the gear circuit with a good deal of confidence, some 5 seconds quicker, Lei Kit Meng, than anybody else on the circuit in free practice yesterday. And David, we extol the virtues of the drivers in the Macau Roadsport Challenge because they were one of only 2 sessions yesterday around the gear circuit that didn't have a stoppage in half an hour.
They were incredibly well behaved, and we were somewhat worried that they might get a little bit giddy. But they, in both sets, rose to the challenge. Why did we mean both sets? There are so many drivers these days in the Macau Roadsport Challenge as a series that the top 14 in each of the 2 groups go into the Establishment Cup, and the remainder go into the Roadsport Challenge. So you've got 2 full grids this weekend, which underlines just how strong the domestic championship is. And in the last couple of years, the regulations have moved away from a sort of catch-all series for all sorts of sports and saloon cars to a very carefully control regulation where you can have a Toyota GR86 or a Subaru BRZ, comparable cars, and the plan has worked very well indeed. They are pretty much, if you like, production saloon, production sports car type spec, made into race cars with the safety modifications, but they're as close to a road-going car as you'll find this weekend, such to the point that you'll see where the driver has to do a hard brake for a corner. On come the hazard lights because the car thinks it's doing an emergency stop, and we saw it last year and we thought, what's going on? And then the penny eventually dropped.
What's happening here? Yeah.
We were seeing it again yesterday. As ever, lots of enthusiastic drivers, and as ever, Alan, and I know this is quite close to your heart,
it is.
The sign writers have been out in force as well. There are some cracking liveries, including that one, which I know is a favourite.
This one is a real favourite, yeah, and we watched the car being prepared. There are 2 cars within the team, and yep, the wrap was going on Wednesday afternoon, and came out yesterday looking absolutely perfect. A huge amount of thought goes into the liveries, the way they're designed. The reason these local races are really close to my heart, for quite a few years here at Macau, this was what I was in charge of, all the local races. So I really dig down into getting to know the history of the drivers and how well they've done here at Macau. And what I learned is how much this race means to them.
Yeah,
it's so important. It's a highlight of the year. It's not surprising, is it? The eyes of the motorsport world are on this corner of the world this weekend. Whatever race is going on, Formula One, wherever it is in the world, the mechanics, the engineers, the drivers, they've got one eye to what's going on at Macau. It is world famous, and to be a local driver from Hong Kong, from China, or from Macau, to be able to race, to qualify, and to show off your car and your preparation and your driving skills on a world stage, it is something so special. It means everything to them. And look at the lineup. Look how smart they look. Beautifully prepared cars. Toyotas and Subarus. They're going to be unleashed on the circuit in just 1 minute's time, and we'll have half an hour of qualifying. Now, we say they were well behaved yesterday. That was free practice. That's not necessarily that competitive. Today, it gets competitive because we are about to have half an hour of qualifying. Will they be slightly less well behaved today? We shall wait and see. Wait and see what the next half an hour has in store for us. We have just seen out on circuit the FR Grand Prix cars, and with that in mind, it got wetter as the session went on. Don't think it's raining now, but the damage has been done. I'm afraid they're going to find quite a lot of standing water when they leave assembly area, which they will do in 15 seconds time. So they're all lined up, they've been cleaned and prepared. If they needed a little bit of scuff repair from yesterday overnight, then they have had that done and they are now good to go. And the word is given. Lei Kit Meng leads the cars away from the assembly area, the RPM racing team Subaru BRZ, that yesterday, David, so impressive, at one point was 8 seconds clear of anybody else, finished 5.2 seconds clear.
Yeah, Lei Kit Meng in a way is the joker in the pack, isn't he? Because yes, it's a local grid, there are lots of quick AMs, but he has raced in Formula 3, racing the British Formula 3 Championship for a time. Last year he won the Roadsport race that was the 70th anniversary challenge. In other words, the Roadsport race on the main Grand Prix weekend. We had one for the two-day meeting, and then we had another entry of cars for the Grand Prix weekend, and he was the winner there. The fact that he's in this race isn't really illustrative of his ability. It just means that he didn't do the full season and therefore wasn't able to score points to get himself into the group. His company is the team that operates the car. He's an experienced driver. He is the benchmark within this entry, no question about it. And yesterday, these cars, his lap time, 3 minutes 3, that was the best lap. So that's what we're looking as a sort of yardstick. Yesterday's second quickest was the redoubtable Geronimo Barraco, and then it was Li Ming Yip, third fastest.
I always say when we talk about Geronimo Barraco, a regular here at Macau, and he's just got the most perfect name to be a racing driver, hasn't he? Lei Kit Meng then has just completed Sector 2, and not surprisingly will be putting in personal and overall bests over these sectors on the outlap, but the windscreen wipers I would describe at sedate rate. That's because he is the front car. He hasn't got a big ball of spray. I think everybody else's wipers will be going double speed, I would imagine, because we saw just from the onboard shots from the single-seaters just now, there is a lot of standing water around the 6.1 kilometre circuit.
The other nice thing about these cars, whether they're the Subaru or the Toyota GR86, is that they're relatively narrow compared to some of the big beasts from GT racing or even the single-seaters, and that means that they can run together, they can overtake at parts of the circuit that wouldn't be possible for some of the bigger, wider cars. Not that Lei Kit Meng need worry about all of this, because I at the moment can't imagine he's going to see another car for quite a long time. But
clean pair of heels.
Yeah, that's the phrase. Certainly come race day, you can anticipate quite a lot of drama.
So you're quite right, they can squeeze themselves through on the section that we've just been through with Lei Kit Meng. He's now up towards the yellow flag zone at the Melco hairpin. Turn back on yourself and then the circuit opens up. This is where the power can be applied, and for Lei Kit Meng, just working out just how much water there is down here, because there are, as you can see, areas of standing water splashing through around the final couple of turns up towards the completion of the lap at our bend and onto the first of the flying laps in qualifying.
And you think, is there anybody else out there? Because he has really hustled on. This might be an outlap, but he's gone storming clear and will now start a flying lap. Comes out of all the puddles up towards the timing line. It's a really wet pit straight at the minute.
I was going to say, just on the final turn as well, lot of standing water.
Yeah. Right, now the clock really starts. First push lap, first flying lap for Lei Kit Meng, and making his run now from Reservoir down towards Mandarin. Many of the corners named after local either hotels, casinos or landmarks, and Mandarin has another imposing skyscraper leaning over it. Then the run down towards Lisboa, and yesterday we saw in the GT3 practice session 2, cars in the wall coming out of Mandarin. We saw lots of drama all day down at Lisboa, and the reason for that is it's the fastest part of the circuit, that long straight, and then a really tight right where you look for a gap in the barrier, dive into it, and Lei Kit Meng with a bit of a twitch there because he rode the curb on the inside, has to control the slide, but proof that it can catch out even the best.
Qualified 6th last year in the 70th anniversary challenge. Last year was the 70th Macau Grand Prix celebrations over 2 weekends, and we had a special race, the 70th anniversary challenge. First and fourth, having qualified in 6th place last year. Lei Kit Meng knows how much success means here at Macau, and you can see it from the drivers as well when they get back to Parc Fermé, having finished on the podium. The absolute unadulterated joy that you see, the celebrations down in Parc Fermé are something to bottle and savour.
Now, the other drivers that are going rapidly include Geronimo Barraco and also Rui Valente as well, who is starting to light up the timing screen, because Valente has done a absolute best within the first sector, and Rui Valente is another driver to watch, I think, as this session winds through, with still 24.5 minutes, but it's at the end of this lap where we're going to get the first indications of an order, with the first flying lap being completed.
3:03.522, wasn't it, that time from yesterday that you mentioned for Les Kitmen? That's the target time. Give us an idea just how different the circuit conditions are. It's just gone purple in sector 3, not surprisingly. Les Kitmen, Badaraco is through, Li Ming Yip is through, and so too the car of Les Kitmen heading up towards the Melco hairpin. Wide entry, that gives a tight exit well away from the barriers. You see them go to within, I would say, an inch of the barrier when they're in the GT3 cars. You can keep well away in one of these.
That lap time you were talking about from yesterday, just bearing in mind it was wet, and bearing in mind it's 6 kilometres of a circuit, and bear in mind you've got a slow Melco hairpin, and bear in mind that these are sort of production sports spec, it was still an average of 120 kilometres an hour, an average. They're not slow cars.
No, they are far from it, and very, very nicely prepared as well. The windscreen wipers on Les Kitmen's car, just like they're chilling. Just they are a little bit slow on the on the downward wipe. We're fine. Don't worry. We don't need to worry too much. Not too much spray in front. It's not raining, so there's no car in front, so there is no spray. But I think they're dragging a bit because they're not having to clear too much water.
Yes, whereas the wipers are going hell for leather behind, aren't they, on Badaraco's car? That's how they should go.
Yeah, they are a little bit. So Les Kitmen needs to stay at the front. If the windscreen wipers are struggling a bit, then
But interestingly, he was only fourth fastest. Li Ming Yip has gone to the top on that first flying lap, 3:11.559. Now, Li Ming Yip was 15th in his group in the Macau Roadsport Championship. Now, what does that prove? Well, the top 14 are in the other race. So if you're 15th, that in theory means you're the best of this section of the entry. Making sense?
Perfect sense. 3:03.52 is the target time from yesterday, and on the first flying laps, Li Ming Yip has done a 3:11.5. So we are some way away from the times that we were seeing yesterday in free practice. But let's make the point again. Just how well behaved they were yesterday. There were no reasons to stop the session. They were looking after their cars, keeping them all in one piece for qualifying today, and doing it to great effect as well. Li Ming Yip is quickest. Second quickest is Mu Chi Fai, a Macau driver in a Subaru.
There is Li Ming Yip going through. Slowest was Vicky Law, but she's now improved up to 21st. And Rui Valente has also now, done an absolute best in the first sector. Today gives the impression of being a lot more competitive than yesterday. Les Kitmen just absolutely dominated every lap of the entire session. Today, he's finding it tougher.
Yeah, really is. And we are on the second of the flying laps, and Les Kitmen has just put in an overall best on the second sector, personal bests on the first and third. Li Ming Yip has put in an overall best on sector 3. We are on sector 4, and as we look at that number 26 car that's at the top of the times, you get an idea of just how smart these cars are. Now, the spare a thought for the teams, because they are working in a car park, essentially, preparing these cars, where there is very little fresh air. There is quite a smell of petrol throughout the week running up and during race weekend, and it's also very warm, very humid down there. So they've got these huge fans that assist them to get a bit of air. But I was talking to a couple of the engineers, and they said that the way to do this is to take regular breaks, to go outside, to get some fresh air, and then get yourself ready for the next section. I felt really sorry for one of the touring car teams as well. They were working on one of the cars, and the fluorescent lights required a new bulb. So they were all working with little head torches on to prepare the cars. They have to work really hard in that car park.
They all come out like moles, blinking, don't they? Sort of twice a day. Look, daylight.
Yeah, they do.
Lake Kit Meng up to the top of the times. We're still a long way off yesterday. 3 minutes 10.472. But Lake Kit Meng then goes to the top from Li Ming Yip and then Mo Chi Fai, third fastest. He's just gone through and done a 3:11.390. We have Geronimo Bararaco then fourth fastest, Rui Valente fifth, and Michael Wong rounding out the top 6 at the moment. We've had the first third of the session completed now, but Lake Kit Meng looking good. Without a stoppage.
Without a stoppage.
For your road sports, yes.
Yeah, my road sports are doing very nicely, thank you very much indeed. And they maintain their 100% records of... but you can see, can't you? They're in a groove. They can get into a flow.
Yeah.
And when we have sessions like we had for the FR cars, they never do. They can do one lap. They can pull out one lap and then back into pit lane. Have to warm up the tyres again. Have to get the brakes up to temperature. All of those things. But the road sports can just get into some kind of a groove and put a meaningful series of laps together.
Now, Lake Kit Meng has done a personal and an absolute best. We're trying to find him. We're trying to find a car because they've all sort of hidden themselves at the end of that. There he is. Lake Kit Meng arrives on scene and still has the road to himself. It's not only a chance to have a look at him, it's also a chance to just look at the contrast of Macau and how the circuit, how Macau itself changes the more of the lap you have, because of course near the start you've got all the big hotels, the big casinos, the huge skyscrapers. But here, as you've headed up San Francisco Hill and you're kind of halfway around the lap, this is sort of old Macau, isn't it? Older buildings and a totally different feel.
It is. You go past the hospital, which is a very, very ultra-modern facility, a great facility. Past the police station as well. It is the working part, if you like, of Macau. And you're quite right. The nightlife part of Macau is all the hotels, the bright lights, and the unique atmosphere of Macau. And it is like a switch. As soon as it gets dark here at Macau, it's like a new place. A new place is born. It's, after all these years of coming to Macau, I still absolutely love going out at night time. Just walking, wherever you're going for something to eat, whatever, just taking in everything that's around. I still feel this overwhelming desire to take photographs to show people. I've got the same series of photographs from the last 12 years, but every year I have to do it.
I think Lake Kit Meng wants the same photograph as last year as well, which is him winning a race. Right, goes over the timing line. We're getting there. 3 minutes 6.995 now. That's the new top time. And we're almost at the halfway mark without a stoppage before Alan makes the point for me. He's going very nicely, Lake Kit Meng. Geronimo Bararaco up into second quickest now. 3 minutes 8.418. And so you've got Macau drivers first and second, and the margin between Lake Kit Meng and Geronimo Bararaco is now 1.4 seconds.
We edge ever closer then to the 3:03.5 that we had in free practice yesterday. We completed in total, well, I say we, I didn't have anything to do with it. Lake Kit Meng completed 8 laps yesterday, and we have now completed 4 laps.
Oh, we've completed them, haven't we?
I know.
We.
I feel part of the team.
If anyone's completed a lap round here, Hyde, it's me.
It is, yeah. First year I came here, I did a walk.
Yes, true, yes.
And had an argument with a bus and decided I wouldn't do it again. Yeah.
Typical, isn't it? You go for ages without an argument and then 2 come along all at once.
Good night. Very good.
Here all week, tell your friend. Heading into Lisboa is Mo Chi Fai, third fastest, 3 minutes 8.752. And actually, Mo Chi Fai has managed to find all the clear track space as well now. This car for the Macau driver, one of the Subaru BRZs, which it's funny, isn't it? You kind of think Subaru, you think rally car, you think Impreza, but it's a really nice little shape, that.
It's a great looking car. They both are, actually, the Toyotas and the Subarus, really smart looking. And when the teams are sort of planning on how they're going to present the car, they've got to get the sponsors on, but what colour scheme are we going to use? Loads of thought. There are no two cars with the same kind of design down in the car park. It is just wonderful, the amount of prep that goes into this weekend.
Looking at Badaraco and I think the sister car of So Yang Hong, they're the pink and what was the other colour?
Seafoam green.
Thank you. And it's reversed, isn't it, on each car? So one's pink on one side and
that's right.
The other car's pink on the other side.
Watch them doing it.
Right.
I think it was a mistake. Intended them to be the same, but no, they didn't. No. We literally watched them doing it, didn't we? And using the little heat guns, and then to watch them emerge yesterday, completely finished and looking so splendid. And they've got a little merchandise stand outside as well. So they are one of the very, very popular merchandise stands that we have, little stalls that are set up just outside the entrance to the Macau Grand Prix. Very popular, these model cars. Very popular.
Yes, there is a Spark model stand which caught attention last night, and needs a visit.
Well, I thought it might.
Yes.
They are nice models, aren't they? Very, very smart.
I don't have a Macau car in the model cabinet, so
Do you not?
There needs to be one. Yeah.
Have you decided what it might be?
Not yet.
Okay.
So it's got to be relevant. So it's got to be either last year or this. I don't know. I'm leaning towards Jules Gounon's Mercedes, but
would be a good choice.
Not sure yet. Haven't decided.
Well, you see the hazard lights flashing away as Geronimo Badaraco hits the brakes.
And this could be an improvement, couldn't it? Because with two absolute bests, he goes quickest, 3 minutes 5.731, and Li Mingyip goes second. So Lei Kit Meng, who dominated yesterday, is back down to third now. It's a bit snakes and ladders, this. He goes up and then gets pushed back down again. But Geronimo Badaraco, a really, really good job there. 3 minutes 5.731, and up to second. Now goes Mochi Fai. Do you know what? This is boding really well, isn't it, for a very competitive race?
13 minutes just over of the session remain, and we have yet to have a stoppage. This is really, really good news, because they are able to put quicker and quicker and quicker laps in, as we've just seen from Geronimo Badaraco. We're seeing the times, the drivers that are at the top of the times changing from lap to lap, and Geronimo just put a really good lap in. A 3:05.7 compares to a 3:03.5 yesterday for Lei Kit Meng, who is currently down in 4th place.
But has improved within the first sector. So it's slightly confusing, this, in a sense, because we know it's a full grid. We know there are lots of cars, but everybody we find seems to be on their own. Maybe that's why they're quick, and that's why we're looking at them. But Geronimo Badaraco then, absolute best sector 1, personal best sector 2. We've had a pit stop, incidentally, for Wan Kar Hong, but that has just rejoined, number 82, 22nd fastest. So Badaraco comes then now towards the mid part of the lap and doing, as I say, improvements in the sectors, but so too is Lei Kit Meng. Now Lei Kit Meng is ahead of him on the road, so he will come across the beam first. This is Badaraco out of the Solitude S's. Down the hill he drops, and absolute best, personal best. Lei Kit Meng, 2 absolute bests. I think Lei Kit Meng's going to go back to the top on this lap, although Badaraco eclipsing him in sector 3. It's really, really tight between the pair of them now. Hazard lights come on, hard brake up at the end of Faraway Hill, going through Moorish, and we've got drama at Lisboa, and just folding in the mirror. How about that? Aaron Kwong, precision, precision, precision.
That was very, very smart indeed. So it's going to have a slightly distorted view looking into the mirror. He's going to see himself because it's just pointed in, but that was very well saved indeed. Wow, that was close. 3:05.7 the target time now, held by Geronimo Badaraco, and about to complete sector 5. Not sure if this is going to be an improvement. Sector 4 was slightly off.
Yeah, Lei Kit Meng, I reckon he's going to go onto pole position.
Yeah.
But Badaraco will be not that far behind him on the road. Look, there is Badaraco. Ahead of him coming into our bend is Lei Kit Meng. So Lei Kit Meng at the moment is 4th. 3 minutes 6.995 is his best. He breaks the beam and goes quickest of all, 3 minutes 4.306. And then Geronimo heads up towards the line and needs to get himself into the high 3.3s, really, to get pole position back, and he does it. 3 minutes 3.816. How about that? Geronimo Badaracco back onto pole position.
We're still not on the time from yesterday. We are tantalisingly close, but not close enough yet. 3/10 away from the quickest time from yesterday, but we've still got just over 10 minutes to do it. What a great session this is. Geronimo Badaracco at the top of the times, a 3:03.8. Lei Kit Meng briefly at the top of the times, a 3:04.306, but Badaracco's lap. And you're right, they've managed to get themselves a bit of space on track. It's a 6.1 kilometre circuit. There is no reason why they shouldn't all be alone on the track. There's plenty of space to do it.
Absolutely. So, Lei Kit Meng second, but he's down in the first sector. And also, strangely, is Badaracco. We've got 10 minutes to go, but it's almost as though now we've seen the best, because all of the top three are slower in sector 1 on the next lap.
All just backed off a little bit.
Yeah.
Just under 10 minutes, so we're in the final third of this half-an-hour qualifying session. And you're right, top 5 all without personal best. That changes now, because Cho King Kwan, the Macau driver in car number 4, has just done personal bests on all sectors and flies up to 5th in the standings on the provisional grid.
And Aaron Kwong is 7th. He improved his lap time on that previous lap, despite being slower in sector 1 and sector 2, which included his mirror folding escapade. Mochi Fai has done an absolute best in the middle sector. Lei Kit Meng we're looking at, but I think he's back right off on this lap, and actually you can see how much he's backed off, because Geronimo Badaracco is almost with him now.
And Geronimo Badaracco in that process has just put in an overall best in sector 3.
Yeah.
So the two of them going around together. These are the top 2 in the times, with 8 minutes and 40 seconds remaining. And Geronimo Badaracco in the pale pink and seafoam green car is currently on top of the times by just under half a second from Lei Kit Meng.
But that lap is going to be squandered, because he caught Lei Kit Meng on the run up towards Donna Maria, and he hasn't found a way past him. So he needs to sort of let Lei Kit Meng go, let him pull the pin and try and get away, and then he needs to up his own pace with 8 minutes on the clock now. So they're both going to have slower laps. Others making the climb up San Francisco Hill. I'm inclined to say the road is starting to dry now. We've not had any more rain for a while, and it is looking a little bit better as a track surface.
You're right. We haven't had rain for probably about an hour now, I think. And yeah, the FR drivers are going to be looking onto this session slightly envious, because they dealt with they were first out on circuit. Normally it would be the motorcycles out because of the wet surface. They didn't start yesterday, they didn't start this morning. They're going to be getting their weekend underway at the end of today, and of course they will qualify and race tomorrow now for the motorcycles. So the FR drivers are going to be envious of the track conditions, because they are the best they have been. The road sports have done a good job of drying things out a little bit, haven't they, over the course of this session.
And Lei Kit Meng and Geronimo Badaracco both into the pit lane, and Badaracco escaped the hawked eyes of the scrutineers, who have asked for Lei Kit Meng's car to go as a random check to the scrutineering patch. Badaracco gets back to his team in advance. I wonder whether they'll go back out again, because with just under 7 minutes on the clock, take an outlap out, there's not a great deal of opportunity. And all the leading cars, Mochi Fai, another one, is into the pit lane.
And the advantage they have over 3rd, 4th and 5th is considerable.
Yeah.
So, so the top 2 into pit lane, we're going to have 2 jolly quick drivers that provisionally will line up on the front row of the grid.
Now, Aaron Kwong, with his new aero tweak of a folded mirror, is up to 4th fastest, so it's clearly helping him cut through the air now in a different way. There, number 8, another one that improved last time, of Lao Feng, and 14th fastest he is, number 8, Gerald Lau. So Badaracco, Meng, and then Li Ming at the top 3. There at Lisboa goes Chan Chak Yin, who's also got the road to himself. There are 6 minutes to go. Badaracco, Lei Kit Meng, and then Mochi Fai, 1st, 2nd and 5th in the times, all in the pit lane.
It's a leaf out of Rob Huff's book, isn't it? Who said at the end of a lap at Macau, if I have 2 wing mirrors, I haven't been trying hard enough. Well, he's folded one in. There's another one to be folded in, and see if it increases the aerodynamic efficiency of these cars in the final 5.5 minutes of this qualifying session for the Macau Roadsport Challenge. I'm rather looking forward to seeing a checkered flag and an unblemished score for the road sports over the course of 2 days for the Macau Grand Prix. No stoppages.
You live on the edge, don't you, making statements like that?
Just so proud of them.
Well, quite. So, Bararaco, by nearly half a second ahead of Lei Kit Meng, who has gone back out. He has decided there's the chance for one more roll of the dice, and Bararaco has not yet ventured out, so doesn't look as though he's going to go out to respond.
I wonder if that was a quick tweak to tyre pressures and one last chance.
Might be, if the road's dried a bit. Yeah, good thought. Yeah, we've still got Bararaco in the pit lane, and Mochi Fai went back out as well. So the other one that is in is number 99 of Hui Hang. And we're looking here at Aaron Kwong, who is 4th, and Kwong did a personal best in the first sector, but has then been slower in sectors 2, 3 and 4. So funny sort of a lap this for Aaron Kwong, who in the championship was 17th in his group, which effectively means that he was 3rd in his group of the drivers in this section of the entry. Top 14 going into the Establishment Cup, this for the 15th and back. So, just under 4 minutes to go.
Bararaco stays in.
Yeah.
Lei Kit Meng is out. We are looking at the 67 car of Aaron Kwong.
Do you know what? That mirror hasn't really folded much at all, has it? Needs to have another go at that conveyor belting to really fold it in.
Has it popped back out on its own?
Possibly. Anyway, Aaron Kwong has gone through and did go quicker. 3 minutes 5.232. So he's 4th fastest now, Aaron Kwong. And there's an example of somebody that's used the track time over the course of the weekend. Just almost every lap has found a bit of time, just got better and better and better, and chipped away and chipped away and chipped away. And so Aaron Kwong now, okay, he's 1.4 seconds off pole. Oh, big shunt going down to Lisboa, and that was all wrong in a straight line. Up the escape road, it spins. And a yellow flag zone there. He's going to scupper the chance, isn't it, of Lei Kit Meng getting himself onto pole position again. It is number 84 of Chan Chat Yin, who has done a lot of damage to the front of the Subaru. Now, did that get away from him under the heavy braking? Here's the answer. It's wrong before he comes into view, and he's already hit the wall. So something happened to pitch him into the barrier. We didn't really see the start of it, but a lot of damage has been done.
So, unfortunate right at the end of the session with 2.5 minutes to go. We have the first, quite a bit of debris on the circuit as well, going down towards Lisboa, with Lei Kit Meng on the out lap with 2 minutes remaining of this qualifying session. Geronimo Bararaco, who sits on provisional pole, remains down in pit lane, and Lei Kit Meng 2nd. Looking at that car now, back into pit lane.
Red flag.
Yeah.
So that effectively is the end of the session, because there is less than a lap time left in it. They would get a checkered flag at the end of an out lap, so it's not really worth restarting it. But I wonder whether it was an issue like a tyre failure that put the car into the barrier first. We saw some debris fly, but it was hard to know whether that was after the initial impact or whether it was a very heavy brake and the car just got away. I'm leaning towards that.
Yeah.
The session will not be resumed, and that's the reason why up the escape road has gone Chan Chat Yin, but a lot of front damage and debris on the road. So, how are your road sports doing then?
I'm not talking to you.
Okay.
Which is a difficult situation for two commentators, but we might have made up before the next session.
For the next sentence.
Yeah.
So that's the end of qualifying, and Geronimo Badaraco thinks, well, there you go, I did the right thing by staying in the pit lane, and we won't be going back out again, so the order is confirmed. Geronimo Badaraco is on provisional pole position for the Macau Roadsport Challenge race from Lake Kit Mei, and Chan Chat Yin, who's now got a rather badly damaged car up the escape road, third fastest. Aaron Kwong fourth, ahead of Li Ming Yip and Mo Chi Fai. Then it is Rio Valente from Yung Chut Lin. Ninth fastest, Cho Ken Kwam, and rounding out the top 10, Michael Wong. But for Chan Chat Yin, the damage pretty serious, and let's see what the extent of it is going to be, and hope that he will be able to be on the grid for the race itself.